Morning. It's like 7 a.m. YJ, 1995. I got an exhaust leak, and today we're going to change out the stock exhaust manifold and put a header on. It's early in the morning, so let me let you hear this thing. Alright, let's see what we got to get into. But first, a cup of coffee. Let's get that out of the way. All the clips you can take out. That's out of the way. That fits perfect. So that pushes through there. Unhook the injector wires. They just pop right out. This is mounted on top of a stud that comes off the top of the valve cover. Pull that right out. So once you got that, all right, let's get the injectors out. Start by taking off this bracket over here. This, one of the best things ever. Holds all your nuts and bolts. That's out. So there is a stud that holds your injectors on. I don't want to damage the gasoline. So now I got gas up here. Not much gas coming out, but enough. That's the injector. So it controls your fuel. It's held on by a little weird C-clamp. Goes into the injector right like that, and then it's held on by the C-clamp, and that holds it, the assembly together. We'll clean all that up. So by the looks of this, the next thing I would do would be to carefully take off any existing wires so I don't knock them. That way that stuff is out of the way. Part of this wiring harness coming off of the injector lines. Putting that there, see that grease that's in there? So that's not going to come off because that bracket's in the way. So that bracket is going to have to come off. Right down the bottom of the power steering pump, beyond the tensioner, there's another bolt. Once that came loose, you can see this whole thing came loose. I might have enough room at that point to get this bolt off that's holding the bracket. Depends how much I can move it. But before I can move it, I got to finish loosening up the power steering pump. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. There we go. Wow. So this bolt that is behind the power steering pump that attaches to your intake manifold is somewhat buried. I don't have to unhook everything, but that bolt is back here. That's the bolt that goes into right there. You have to take it out to get this intake manifold off. So far, that's been a little bit of a pain to get to because you have to loosen up the entire power steering pump to be able to get to this bolt that they decided had to be behind the power steering pump. We're going to go with 14. Duke is going to talk to us. Wow. That was pretty loose. .14mm. Going down here to the bottom side of this. If they follow suit, they should come out pretty easy. You should be able to gently pull your intake manifold out of the way. That's a 10mm line. I'm going to take some time to clean everything up too. You can see I did put a rough country throttle body spacer on my throttle body. I did that some time ago. This is what we have so far. I have now sprayed some PB Blaster underneath, because what I need to get to is up in there. I have removed the exhaust from the lower end of the exhaust manifold. The last bolt. Gasket fell apart. In the center is rusted. Looked like it was pretty good, but I'm pretty sure that I would say that I had an exhaust leak. Before I do anything, I'm going to clean off the surface where the gasket is going. Things that I bought in advance. Red Permatex. It is a high temp gasket maker. That way I can make sure my gasket's attached properly. Secondly, I was told to get the fel-pro gasket. I'll put a link below to this exact gasket because it should be thicker. It looks very similar to the one that came off, so perhaps for some reason somebody changed something some other time and put that on there, because the one that comes with the header is supposed to be pretty thin. Right here. Let's take a look at that puppy. Let's look at this header. And woohoo! We now have a shiny, new, packed exhaust header that is going on to my 1995 Wrangler. It comes with gaskets for your connections, a bag of bolts and springs for your connections. That all looks like what connects it to the exhaust pipe. Exhaust pipe bracket. It comes with the down tube that goes. It also comes with a gasket that is not good for the intake. It's only good for the exhaust manifold. That's the reason why we replaced it with one gasket to rule them all. Lastly, it comes with a header. The oxygen sensing unit is out. It's off the exhaust. Well, it's not moving. You know what's next. Just try. What I think they did is I think they brazed this seam on. So I'm not going to be able to use this tailpipe anyway. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut it off. Ha ha! One tailpipe out. Now I got a mess to clean up. Had they left the catalytic converter on, I wouldn't have had to do that. Keith just did this a couple weeks ago. It bolted right up to the catalytic converter.
Okay.
Alright, you guys all know what I did with mine. I cut off the flange.
Yeah, the flange.
Just to tell you what you're looking at, that header that I bought, it had bolted right up.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, okay.
The problem is, they cut out the catalytic converter and then just brazed everything together all the way back to the muffler. So I had to cut this. What I plan to do is I'm going to get my downpipe and everything installed, my heat sensor on, the header on, and if I can't find a patchwork to make it all fit together, then I'll take it up to the muffler shop. There's a Roadrunner place right up the street, and tell them to put the catalytic converter and the muffler on. That should be where it all lines up. Let's hope. It's only got 3 bolts holding it and then 3 locks down the bottom. With luck, everything will line right up and we won't have any issues. Yeah, the best wife in the world. My daughter-in-law bought us biscuits and gravy from Big John's Rockin' Barbecue. Now you can find my review if you look under 1995wrangler.com and you look under Big John's down in Kissimmee, you'll find a review from me. Because we drive around our Jeep and we eat. And this is biscuits and gravy from Big John's Rockin' Barbecue. So with the studs, I'm going to go ahead and put a stud in. Start it out. You know, I think I'm going to put just a little bit of Permatex on there. So I'm going to put a very little bit of red Permatex on here. And when I say very little bit, I am talking a very little bit, and I'm going to flatten it out. And here we go. Here is the new gasket. You hear Javier over across the street yelling me Jeep life. Yep. It's Jeep life. And here we go. Let's put this header in. It's kind of stubborn. I heard several people say that it doesn't exactly bolt right up. I have a feeling that they're right. Well, about 3 hours later, with a whole lot of drilling, 1 drill, 1 ream, and a drill press later, the header is on. Sensor is on the bottom. That went in fairly easy. I had to use the original bolts because the studs that I bought on that kit, the bolts were like fine thread and the nuts were coarse thread, or vice versa. Or maybe the bolts were 14 millimeter and the nuts were 13 millimeter on the inside, but whatever the diameter was, it just wasn't working. It was just tearing them up. I couldn't get the header on with them. That kit, pretty much so far, I haven't used anything from it. So I would try to use as much of your original hardware as possible. As long as you don't break anything, you should be good to go. While we're working, I've gotten that kind of cleaned up. A little bit in there. Here's something I found out. I bolted up the headers with these big wide washers, like this. These big wide washers are designed to bridge the gap between the header and the intake manifold. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There also are 4 of those bolts that look like this. These are not the 3 that hold your header on. So don't use those to put on the header. Don't forget to tighten up your header in the pattern. It's in the Hayes manual. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't tighten anything up until you got everything threaded. Well, I got my arm under here. I'm going to go ahead and get to the other lower one. They're not tight, and remember that. There's a pattern. got to be hooked up underneath there too. Been at it most of the day, taking breaks here and there. Got the header bolted on. The drop down pipe is not bolted on yet. The intake manifold is bolted on. I did break off a temperature sensing unit, or it was broken. That's been fixed. Well, there you go. The header is installed. The drop-down pipe is hooked up to the exhaust. The alternator has been replaced. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. FloridaJeepRides.com covers both Jeeps. 1995Wrangler.com covers this Jeep mostly, but it covers both Jeeps. Thank you for watching. Thank you for all of our new subscribers. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for... Hold on. Hold that thought.